that's true. I'd say that's very true.
Yeah, I like the statement, thoughts held in mind produce their own kind. So, in essence, whatever you're thinking about, that's what you're producing. So, we like to start the day off with positive thoughts
Yes.
and positive affirmations, just to get our day going, and hope you'll find some benefit in a daily affirmation from us.
And here's our first affirmation.
I am divine. I am a divine being in the constant flow of life. I am a divine being in the constant flow of life. I think I better put these on, Bettina. There it is. It looks much better
I
now.
cleaned them.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, divine energy moves in and through me in all of my life. I experience this flow as life itself through my breath, ideas, creative thoughts, health, and wholeness. Life is an unceasing river of good. Throughout the day, I'm conscious of this stream of energy as I focus every blessing I receive, like a friend's call out of the blue, or a hug from someone unexpectedly.
That can be really nice.
Yeah, you know, a new lesson to learn, whether we wanted, you know, to know it or not. Sometimes we say, you know, I'm sure there's a lesson in this somewhere.
You're right. A lot of times we don't want the lesson, or we don't want to look for that lesson.
So I am energized and empowered, and hope you are the same. I am in the flow.
I am in the flow. I am in the flow. Oh, I like that.
Well, one of the things that you wanted to discuss today was relationships.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm all about relationships. I actually love the subject matter of relationships. And, you know, it's like, what is a relationship? It can be with your postman. It can be your boss, with your coworker. It could be with a family member that you want to become closer to, or a love relationship, or a new friendship. Every relationship is a new kind of relationship, and you can't ignore that just because someone walks right past you. That's not a relation. It's a relationship. I mean, usually.
No, I'm not sure if I buy that one.
Well, maybe not just anybody,
okay.
But you have to. A lot of people just want to ignore the fact that there's people around them. That they think they're alone in life. You're not alone. There's people everywhere. Okay. And there's possibilities for relationships everywhere. Like, we were just outside a couple minutes ago, and there's a lady out there taking her dog out for a duty. And Greg starts talking, she starts talking to Greg about my car, and, or something. And then, that's it. She's just chatting. It's a friendly hello, but that's her, one of Maria's neighbors, and now we know her.
Well, we've kind of gotten away from that today. Maybe in the smaller cities, people tend to be more open, more friendly to each other. But in the large cities, I have kind of found that it's open the garage door, pull the car in, close the garage door, and I'll see you when I see you.
Did you not know your neighbors?
I made it a point to know my neighbors.
I made it a point to know my neighbors, too. Yeah. I knew all my neighbors across. I lived in the same home for 17 years, and before that, growing up in 20-odd years in the same house. We knew all the neighbors to our right, left, front, backwards, all the way around us, the close neighbors, because it was important.
Yeah, it's important.
They watch your property, you watch theirs, and your friends, and you possibly could be there for each other, and it's nice to say and wave to people, and,
No, I agree.
I remember when I first moved to Los Angeles, I lived there 25 years, and I was in the garment business there, and I felt like there was no friendliness, and you didn't know your neighbors. It was strange. I mean, but
when you say you didn't know your neighbors, you didn't know your coworkers?
Well, maybe no, my neighbors and my neighbor. I mean, I rented apartments.
Oh, in L.A.
Yeah,
right.
and I rented homes, to share with roommates and stuff. But anyway, it's nice when you actually make the time and take the time and effort to make some connections.
No, I agree with you on that. I say Las Vegas is the biggest small town in America, but It's growing. It's getting bigger.
Oh yeah, it's getting bigger. Think about the Raiders and everything that's bringing us, and the Golden Knights.
Well, okay, but
it's expanding.
I'd like to get back to your relationship
Yes,
part.
let's talk about relationships.
Because you had some very interesting comments when you first brought that subject up.
Yeah, like I don't know. There's this amazing guy, and I have to thank Chris Maddich, my girlfriend from church, Unity Las Vegas, who has turned me to John Gottman, one of the best relationship gurus in the world. He does research for 35 years about relationships. And if you go to TED Talks, John Gottman's work is well known, and I would say some of the actual best. He has a study where he puts people in this think tank like it's a bed and breakfast. And he says he's not an expert in relationships, he's an expert in research. So I love how humble he is. But they have a bed and breakfast. They put people in for a whole day, and they see how they interact together all day. And there's the only difference between the bed and breakfast and then is they test their urine samples for stress hormones, and they have 4 like cameras on the wall, and they watch their facial expressions and so forth, and they record everything as they're there for a long time, for a day. And they did this study with some people when they first got married, when they had young children, when they were older, when they were old, all the way 25 years. Wow. Some of these people have been in study. Of course, a lot of people didn't make it. They got divorced, or they're in an unhappy relationship for a long time, and they're considered in one category. He calls them the disasters. And then the people who made it, those are the masters. So you got your masters and your disasters. And
so tell us the difference between the masters and the disasters.
Okay, well, the masters are people who have made it work. Okay. And more or less somehow they just seem to make it. They got along up and down, back and forth.
But, shout out to my Uncle Johnny and my Auntie Lil. They've made it work over the years.
And how many years? That's so great. They're here in town, right?
Yeah, they're in town this week.
Hi.
I don't know, 30 years, 40 years?
That's a lot.
But that's a long time to be with. So, shout out to them.
Yeah, very good. And my parents just had their 61st wedding anniversary a couple of weeks ago. We were back there in San Diego. We met them for that. And
got a chance to hang out. 61 years of marriage.
They got married at 21 and 23 in the 50s.
Jeez,
Cute little couple.
I wasn't even born then.
I know. They were just a cute little couple in the 50s, and
I better stop that.
Anyway.
My nose might start growing. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah.
I like
Don't tell them you're a spring chicken.
Okay.
At any rate, this guy John Gottman, he's amazing, and he talks about the difference between the disasters and the masters, and the kinds of things we want to do is, of course, try to do with the masters, learn from the masters what they've done, and the kinds of things they do. What John Gottman does talk about is he says there's 4 things, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and that would be the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse: criticism, defensiveness, disrespect and contempt, and the last one is stonewalling. So when these things start to happen, there's a way of that the masters don't. You want to stay away from criticism. The way of complaining, pointing out the partner's faults.
And tell our friends who have joined us, how does a master handle criticism in a very positive way?
Well, the difference is it's a way of complaining where you're pointing out your partner's faults. So the difference, I've only skimmed these and I've taken brief notes, but I'll be going more into John Gottman's work as we go along because I really love him. I'm definitely a fan. And the defense. I don't know about the criticism. I would say probably to keep it at bay or at a minimum. You don't want to get into doing too much criticizing all the time. What if somebody criticized you constantly?
Yeah.
How would you feel about that?
I would not like it at all. I wouldn't like it at all.
You want to go in that bedroom and lock the door. That's what you do. Anyway, next one, defensiveness.
Okay. Give me an example
righteous
of that.
Indignation.
We all got a little self-righteousness in us.
And innocent. You're the victim. And you're the victim, like whining. It comes out like whining.
Oh.
So defensiveness, it can be you're the innocent victim, and then it sort of equals whining after you start to, get defensive.
So masters have figured out a way to dance around
Yeah.
defensiveness.
Yeah,
okay.
It says actually what the masters do with that is defensiveness is they learn to take responsibility, they accept responsibility instead of being defensive. Like,
Okay, so
like
instead of
when
putting
somebody
the blame
says
on someone
you,
else,
then they say,
you
well,
take the
instead of
responsibility
going,
for
wait,
your
wait,
own
you know,
actions.
or no, that's not true. I don't know. Instead of saying that, you go, well, you know, yeah, maybe I could have done that. Who knows? I don't know. They don't get defensive. There's a difference.
Right. Do you know how you can diffuse a person when you do that? You know, they're all angry and upset, and you go, you know, I didn't realize I was doing that.
That's good. I like that. That's a master's right there. That's a master's statement. We got 2 minutes. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We've gotten through 2 of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse: the criticism, defensiveness, disrespect, and stonewalling. And we've gotten 2 done, and we're going to talk about the other 2 in a second when we come back.
Yeah, we got to go pay the bills.
Yeah.
The bills.
Bye.
The bills.
Live streaming on social media is the best new way to interact and bond with your community. Do you love to encourage, motivate, and empower others, but you do not know how? Well, your opportunity starts with us on social media shows. We have 20 shows a week live streamed across the globe, with a reach of over 80,000 and growing. So you can host your own show, and you can be anything you want to be. So let's bring the community together, and let's bring the world to you. Join us now. Live streaming on social media is the best new way to interact and bond with your community. Do you love to encourage, motivate, and empower others, but you do not know how? Well, your opportunity starts with us on social media shows.
Hey, we're back.
We are back.
Ready?
So you're going to finish up with the relationship?
Yeah,
That was interesting.
John Gottman, one of my heroes, as far as relationship work goes, and coaching and sharing and helping people, you know, have great relationships.
Yeah.
He's talking about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which is criticism, defensiveness, disrespect or contempt, and stonewalling.
Okay, let's talk about the last 2.
We went through criticism and defensiveness, and
Right.
the last 2 are disrespect and contempt. That would be putting somebody, disrespect or contempt. You're better than you're putting yourself on a podium. You're better than your partner, all right? And
Really? People do that in relationships?
No people do that.
No, not at all.
They don't think they're better than the other person. Never.
No.
But
I never knew anybody with a pedestal in their
and
house
you know,
anyway,
one of the
so what is that statement?
one
You
of the
put
really
yourself up on a pedestal. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
calling names.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah,
When,
so
you know, you get to the
what I'm
point where
hearing
you're
you
calling
say,
someone a name.
Okay, so you should keep
Right.
it clean, right?
Yeah, keep it clean. And you need, you know, relationships, like, I think you got to set healthy boundaries for each other in the beginning.
Okay, we have a comment. Can you read it?
Okay.
No, not in your. It's right here.
Right on the screen.
I can't see.
We have a comment on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, viewer.
Let's see. It says, let's see, you feel,
Like crap. I think she meant crap. When someone criticizes you all the time.
yeah, you do feel like crap when someone criticizes you all the time. That would be demeaning. I mean,
It is.
you
It
know,
is.
and I feel everybody who gets into that kind of trap where that's the norm, that's not a healthy relationship anymore.
Yeah.
You know, that's the kind of thing where you need to decide what to do. You need to either make it better, you need to move on, because that's very toxic.
Well, you know, what about those situations where you can't make it better? You know, i.e. in a family situation.
Yeah.
Me, for an example, my dad's form of correcting me, chastising me, was to criticize me.
Was it teasing, or was
No,
it just
it was
out
criticism.
and out
It
criticism?
was out and
like
out
you
criticism.
are, blah, 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 like name calling,
so,
name calling?
you know, I got a B. Well, why didn't you get an A?
Oh.
You know, geez, you could have been studying, dummy. You know, so instead of taking that as a negative, I took it as a positive to say, you know what, I will beat you at your own game.
Buddy.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right,
So you
I'll
just
get an
took-
A, and then what are you going to criticize me about next?
So it did motivate you
sometimes
on a
you
level.
don't have a choice.
Yeah, well, I mean, his intention was probably to motivate you, although
sure it
it was
was.
a little crude, but
Well,
that,
you know,
that
he was
his,
an army guy,
that was
you know,
his
so the
style.
army guy would be in your face, boot camp style,
Yeah.
you know. So that worked for him back in the day. So
Hey, Megan.
you know, so I'm gonna make it work for me because that's what I was given. You know, we get tapes from our parents, and some of that came out in me when I was a parent, and I'm sure in you as well. So anyway,
Yeah.
And
So
the
the
last one?
disrespect and contempt. Well, calling people names, directly insulting them. All right. The disasters. It said there's a culture of intimidation with the disasters. There's a culture of intimidation. It's ongoing, you know. And the masters, what they did was they have to maintain respect, like different habit of mind, praise and appreciation, like keeping the respect there. So never going dirty, you know, probably just, I think that what they mean by that is praise and appreciation. Like you got to have praise and appreciation on a regular basis as well. You can't only have criticism.
right.
It has to
right.
be a balance.
It does have to be a balance. It's
Yeah.
you know, it's always the yin and the yang. So it's
Right.
a combination really of both. Well, that was really interesting. As Bettina.
There's one last one.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought there
no,
were
no,
four.
that was three. That was the disrespect and contempt. The last
bad.
one was stonewalling. That's emotional withdrawal. That's where you just take your marbles and go home, you know.
There's another comment.
Oh, what is, could you read it? Because we can't.
Praise Jesus, I cannot stress the importance of positivity. It got me clean and has made me relationship flourish. Arthur Lange.
Arthur, thanks for
Hey,
calling
Arthur,
in
thanks
about
for the
that.
comment.
And keeping yourself positive. That's what
Keeping
he said.
yourself grounded.
That's
He's got his
positive.
spirituality going on in his
Yeah.
relationship.
It's great when you can
More
get
power
a
to you, my brother.
habit of being positive
Yes.
on a regular basis
Yes.
and forcing yourself. You know, even when we think certain things, and if you can just say other things when you're thinking something, just say something opposite. Because just say positive anyway. You can convince your own self. It's funny. I mean, when I catch myself in the act, I can start to try to entertain the better thoughts, or
Yeah.
make something up if you're not feeling anything positive at all. Just like,
Well,
gee,
in the
this is the
gospel
kind of
church-
day where I'm gonna have
in
to.
the gospel church that I grew up with, there's a song that says, sometimes you got to encourage yourself.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
That's
you know what I'm
beautiful.
saying?
That's
You got to
beautiful.
sing to yourself sometimes
That's a
because
good-
you're going to have
good
some days where
song
nobody's
title.
going to be praising you or giving you any compliments.
That's a good song title and a good.
So I
premise
said
for
to my
some-
mother, why are they doing that? Well, didn't they talk about Jesus? Are you better than him that they can't talk about you? Go on, get out of here, boy. Anyway.
But emotional withdrawal, like stonewall, taking your marbles and going home, they call it, or going slamming your door, going in your room, just disappearing, just basically stonewalling is emotionally saying, I've had it,
Well,
and I won't participate
that one
anymore.
right there, that last one, stonewalling, going in your room, slamming the door, that ends up costing you more money down the road. You down at Home Depot
It
because
hurts.
you done slammed the door. One of the pictures fell, it's glass, and now
There's
it's broken.
the picture of the broken glass,
and
exactly.
it's just like,
Then you got to clean up on
clean up,
aisle 3.
yeah.
You got to do the
and then
clean
you
up.
got to worry about the glass because it stays in the carpet for 3 years or
It's
whatever.
gonna make you late to work and
Yeah,
everything.
You
Yeah.
walk around one day and go, "Woo, man, it just got me."
Yeah, that was from that day I slammed
Slam the door in my
door.
face.
Exactly.
Okay. No slamming doors. Okay.
Yeah, and emotional stonewalling. The
You know something I heard too that I thought was really interesting? If you're having a difficulty in a relationship or a challenge and you want to maybe have a discussion about it, maybe don't do it at home where it's very easy for you to go and run and close yourself off. Go to a nice restaurant,
yeah.
and
Greg's
it's all
big on
what
that.
you can afford. But
When you sit in
you're not gonna-
public,
yeah, you're
there's a
not gonna get up
different
and
demeanor you will have.
Act. I don't like the word ugly, but you're not gonna act inappropriately
think-
if you're out in
You
public
would
in a
think
restaurant.
twice.
So
you
know
would think
can,
twice about getting angry
yeah,
as
you can-
well as
you
loud
can,
and
have a discussion.
Yeah.
Each other's. You can hear each other.
Mm-hmm.
You're not being loud and pointing the finger.
Right.
Because if that does happen, guaranteed the management's going to either throw you out or they're going to call the police. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and also this Esther Perel. I'm going to be talking more about her maybe today, maybe another time. I don't know if we have time, but she's an amazing psychiatrist that's on TED's Top 2, Esther Perel, and she says something about sometimes writing things down.
Yes.
People can get it better than hearing it because the tone of a voice, or you can't control your anger. You just write it in a note. Sometimes people will get what you're saying better. So, notes are important. Some people go, I hate those notes. No, notes can be very positive.
Okay,
very good in the long run.
So if I can't communicate with you, you're suggesting that I write it out and then hand it to you.
In fact, you know what? When I began something with people, I like to set up a good foundation. I like to set up a premise of 3 things that have worked for me in the past. Writing lists. Write a list of what works, writing lists of what doesn't work, writing a list of what's missing. The having of which would be really great and improve everything.
Okay, so you sit down with your list.
Commit to doing the list
Sit
once in a
down
while.
with your list and say, okay, these are the things we're doing well.
And then
you're
exchange
very
lists,
loving. You care about my needs. You take me out to eat every Friday night. Okay, now the next list is
things that don't work.
Things that don't work. I hate it when you scream at me. I hate it when you leave your underwear on the floor by the bed. I hate when you don't put your own clothes in the dirty clothes hamper. So and then we talk about what's missing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's missing?
Yeah, like sometimes people are, they don't put one and one together. They can't figure it out because one thing this Esther Perel says, she says that when we are bickering or when people criticize, the other person goes numb.
Yeah, you just stop listening.
Well, they
You
go
just stop listening.
they go numb, like they can't hear. That's why the writing, what's missing, like actually spelling it out for them. Here's what you can do to improve.
Okay.
Like
we have another comment.
All right.
Thank you, caller.
Sure. What's a comment?
It's Arthur Lance.
Hey, Arthur.
Please send positive vibes to my dear friend Nick Gers. He has been down lately and needs support.
Hey, Nick, we don't know what you're going through, but man, we all out here are thinking of you right now, Nick, and we're sending you positive thoughts and positive energy. Nick, know that wherever you are, God is, Spirit is, whatever name you have for your God, Spirit is right there with you. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil because God is with me. So reach out, man. Just a little simple prayer, Your friends love you.
And thanks for your friend reaching out. Thank you. That's great. That's what we need
Peace
to
and
do.
love, peace and love.
We need to be
Keep that information coming.
We need to take care of our friends.
Yeah, we do need to take care of our
We do.
friends.
We've got to keep our eyes on everyone in our life, not just our own self.
Agreed. Agreed.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a little break, and we're going to talk more about relationships in just a moment.
We are?
And then
I thought we were done with relationships.
Okay, maybe we're done with it for now. But we will talk about what you want to talk about next. How's that? Okay? Here we go. We're going to take the little break. Bye.
Up with RevolutionRadio2.com to present Social Media Shows Sunday, featuring the very best of social media shows starting at 6 a.m. We begin our block with Saved by Grace, The Good News, In the Office, Musician Loves Honey, and ending with Dark Music Television. This is on every Sunday starting at 6 a.m. on RevolutionRadio2.com. And if you want to keep up with all the shows, we've reached the age of live streaming on social media shows. You may ask, we're already ahead of the curve, so why do you need to advertise with us? Well, only 8% of the businesses in the U.S. are using digital advertising to grow their business. That's 2 percentage points short of reaching critical mass with Elite. Live streaming on social media is the best new way to interact and bond with your community. Do you love to encourage, motivate, and empower others, but you do not know how? Well, your opportunity starts with us on social media shows. We have 20 shows a week live streamed across the globe, with a reach of over 80,000 and growing. So you can host your own show, and you can be anything you want to be. So let's bring the community together, and let's bring the world to you. Join us now.
Hey everybody, welcome back.
We're back. We're talking about relationships. It's the Gregarious and Joy show. And we just want to catch you up. We were talking about John Gottman's work, who is an amazing, phenomenal coach and a person who supports people in having better relationships. His studies are over 25 years, I believe, and he's a good research person for relationships. John Gottman. Any TED Talk, just watch him. It's amazing. Also, this woman, Esther Perel, fabulous. Why couples fight. That was the subject of this one talk. I took some notes. And before we end talking about relationships, because we could talk for a long time, but we want, the idea between the lists that we were talking about, the tools to have better foundation in the beginning of a relationship, lists of what works, lists of what doesn't work, and lists of what's missing, to do the list on a regular basis and exchange lists. Even if things are going good, you want to hear what you're doing well. So that's always nice, even if there's no real problem. It's still a nice habit to get into, to doing the list. Anyway,
So you're constantly working on your relationship.
yeah, and she says the question is, how can people fight better? It's like fighting clean or make healthy boundaries for each other about the way you're going to fight. Like I remember my ex-husband. I was married 25 years. I've been divorced for a year and a half now. And I remember
Wow,
that
you were married for 25 years?
Yeah.
So was I.
I was married, I was almost 20, but I was together with him for 25. So I call it 25 years because we were inseparable from 25 years.
Okay.
And at any rate, and totally creating a relationship, intimate, committed relationship. At any rate, at the beginning, and most of it was pretty rich and satisfying to a point, but then it played out, and we got a divorce. But for whatever reason, but in the beginning, we did do those lists, the what works and what doesn't work and what's missing on a regular basis. And I remember one time specifically when I was so mad at him, I could spit. I was just I did not want to see that person, And he took one of those notes. He did the note,
Okay.
and he threw it. And I picked it up and I threw it in my purse, and I could not even look at that stupid note for like 2 days. I finally, one moment, I saw it in there and I read the list. It didn't really change everything in a minute, in a day,
Right.
but it something shifted just a little bit
Within
by
you.
me reading that
Good
note.
list. Okay.
Yes,
Very
by
smart
reading
move on his part.
It was very good.
Very.
Yes, to
Because
keep
sometimes
his
we
word about
can-
keeping our word about doing the list.
Right.
If we had a problem.
So instead of letting things escalate,
Exactly.
he wrote it down.
Yeah.
And then threw it at you and said, these
Here's-
are my feelings. I
Exactly.
don't want to get into a discussion with you. And ended up saying something that I really regret later, or something I wish I had
Yes.
never said.
Yes, and speaking of which, one last tip that this Esther Perel mentioned is that when you're in a tough moment, you're stressful, there's tension.
Right.
It's sometimes the best thing to say is, at this moment, I don't think that this is. I don't think I can give this conversation justice, and I need to take a break, and letter writing, comes in. But
That actually.
put a pin in this,
This
like
is
that.
actually my favorite one.
Put a footnote.
as well. Is can we put a comma,
the
on
comma.
this? Okay, and pick it up a little later.
And
Because
that's not
I
saying
really
you won't talk about it. That's
because I really want to give it the attention it deserves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your opinion is important to me, and I just don't want to take a few minutes or a few seconds to come up with a thought. So let's put a comma here. Let me digest what you've shared, and then let's sit down maybe tonight or tomorrow night. And it's always important to put a date behind it, because if not,
what by when.
Yeah.
Exactly. If
What
you don't
by
have a
when.
what by when, it's not a commitment or
Exactly.
not a promise,
Exactly.
basically.
A comment from Arthur Lange. My dear friend Holden Cox has really had his hands full lately and needs a break from his stress. Pray for Holden.
Holden, prayers.
Holden,
Prayers.
we hold you in the light, my brother. Hang in there, Holden. Things are coming, man, your way. Just hang in there, Holden. All right, brother?
That's it. Are we on a break? No. So at any rate, that I want to end the thing about relationships, although we can talk more next week, and we're going to be
Thank God she
researching.
wants to end the thing on relationships. Can I please go back to my man cave now?
Yeah, he
All
wants
I
to
want
go
is
back
my
to the
breakfast,
man.
my dinner, and let me sit back and watch some sports or
Yeah,
something.
there you go. Sports is on.
Without the
Woo!
honeydew list and all of this stuff I got to do.
And then he's
Saturday
doing,
morning, I got the honey-do list. I don't mean the ripe little melon either. It's like, honey, do this. Honey, do that. Honey, that dough needs to be fixed.
And I'm not that.
One that you slammed? Oh, now I got to fix it?
And the way I ask, right?
Right. Yeah. I heard about the way she asked. She doesn't put please or thank you in front of anything. She just says
I'm from
stuff.
garment manufacturing and factories where there are lots of tough people.
That's an excuse.
I
I'm
mean,
from the
those were
garbage
my
industry, so that means I can speak to people any kind of way.
No, I didn't.
Please.
I didn't have the best mentors. In business.
Who did?
In my 20s and 30s, I was raised by wolves. What can I say?
Oh, okay. All right. Raised by wolves.
Jewish New Yorkers, tough as nails.
Oh.
Screamers,
You know
you
what?
name it. So I don't do the screaming. I mean,
I'm gonna put a pause or a little comma by that last one, and then we'll come back to
all
that
right.
one. But anyway, a subject that really troubles me, and I know you didn't want to talk about it. You said especially after relationships.
Oh yeah. Well, this is a coupling of two subjects. That's a little.
Especially after relationship talk. But there is violence in relationships.
That's true.
Gun violence in America is out of control.
In our city.
It is out of control.
In our city is pretty bad too.
In 1968, 13,000 people died from gun violence. Last year alone, let's fast forward to 2018, there were 40,000 people shot and killed with gun violence in America.
Terrible.
I mean, that's outrageous.
It's a lot.
I mean, your kids are going through drills where they have to, go in a closet or in a hallway somewhere to prepare for a gunman.
Nowhere to hide.
That is no way for the thought process for kids to have to go through. So why haven't we made changes with this?
I don't know. I did see some show. Let's see, his name is Wyatt Cetrick or something on HBO. He had a show where he's talking about gun violence, and he was saying that Oregon is leading the way.
Oh, tell me what Oregon's doing.
I
like
can't
Oregon
say.
up
I
there in
can't.
the Pacific Northwest.
I didn't take notes on his show.
Shout out to Oregon.
Yeah, but he was saying something to the effect that there was a lot of pro-action there, and really a lot of change that had people that had been really instigating change, and in schools. And I think that the premise of it, when I listened to the whole story and how it had progressed in this one, it was a citizen, just this guy who was a dad who started it. And all the teachers and the students and the parents, everybody has become more proactive at watching for the signs of problems.
Okay.
And sharing, and there's an anonymous place to share, where you could talk and not be criticized, or put the anonymous box.
From France.
Hey, viewer from France, what's happening over there?
Hams is the name.
Hams.
Yes.
What did Ham say?
He just bonjour.
Oh, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Right on.
I want a croissant.
Almond
croissant, thank you.
Almond.
That's where we met.
At the croissant place.
Belterra.
That's right.
Belterra.
Yes. Yeah, so...
we were eating I was eating an almond croissant. I turned around, there he was.
Well, the first time I ever saw my dad cry, my dad's a very strong military man, raised 7 children. Pretty much his, my entire life growing up, he always had 2 jobs, to support his family, and took pride in supporting his family. But the first time I saw him cry was when Martin Luther King was shot. Mm-hmm. And I was 5 years old at the time, sitting in front of the TV when that news broke. I didn't really know who Martin Luther King was, but I knew he had to have had an impact because he made my father cry.
Right.
The second time I saw him cry was when his sister, her oldest son, on his way, looking forward to a bright future, had been accepted at UCLA, the gangs that come by and were trying to recruit him.
Oh,
He said no 3 times.
by UCLA?
3 times he said no, and finally they drove by and shot him in cold blood on the sidewalks in South Central. In cold blood.
That's just
When he got the news, he sat on the couch and wailed.
That's just terrible.
And, we had 7 kids, and we were, considering the fact maybe we might have to bring those, the other 2 kids in with us.
Well, you were in Kansas.
Yeah, well,
They were in LA.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different lifestyle, right? I mean, you didn't have that in Kansas.
Not at all.
I didn't have that growing up. I was from a small town, Lodi, California, grape and wine country, really Mayberry. I mean, really, there was no crime. Literally.
People left
have-
their windows down when they went to
Yeah, they leave
Walmart.
their house unlocked all the time. Well, here's how the alarm companies grade a environment or a city's safety level. It's by the murders that have happened.
The crimes, the break-ins.
Yeah, that's how the security
Okay.
companies grade an area. Is
Right.
by the murders.
Right.
And Lodi, we didn't have one every 4 years or something.
Right.
It was very seldom.
So, what can we as everyday citizens do about this? I mean, we can turn a blind eye. We can call our congressman. What good does that do? We've tried. There's no reason why. And I'm not against people owning a gun. Believe me, trust me, I'm not. If you want to own a handgun, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But do you need a machete? Do you need
and the
military
automatic
style
weapon with the
weapons?
clip thing. And
I mean, come on. Realistically speaking, I mean, churches, synagogues. You go for solace and prayer, and somebody walks in and shoots you. I mean, we don't have to accept this.
That's a
and I know that
definite-
there is big money in Washington in the hands of our representatives in the House and the Senate, okay, who accept money from them. Because my goal is to get reelected. And getting reelected, one 30-second commercial could cost me $5-10 million.
Yes.
I gotta take the money.
You got to take the money, right? Well, the thing, I mean, it's like it's a definite social statement when you do it to a church or a synagogue. That's a social,
personal statement.
A social statement.
Social statement.
That's a racist.
But it continues to go
statement.
on, and
Yeah.
we seem to do nothing.
I know. I don't know how
I-
we're going
I
to curb
get so
it.
tired
The
of
only-
seeing on TV my
Yeah.
thoughts and my prayers. My God, somebody's got to do something.
Yeah, I don't know
And I
how
hate
to
to
change
discuss
it. I don't know how to change it.
And I hate to discuss an idea without having a solution.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, there can
I
be
invite the audience
support groups
that,
and mental
that if you have an idea, or if in your city you're working on an idea, please share that with us so that
Yeah.
we can share that with our viewers. You mentioned Oregon very early on.
Yeah, and the mental health is the main focus.
Yeah.
And to be awareness. The
Right.
whole community is more aware. There's a consciousness change. It's like when Jesus came about, there was a consciousness wave in the world. This is something that's time has come. We need to raise our consciousness about
well,
violence.
I was talking about this experience I had in Oregon. Okay, I was in medical sales. I sold defibrillators. And I won't tell what branch of the government, but they bought defibrillators. Okay? And, they were putting them in their vehicles. So you can probably figure it out. But anyway, the chief came in and, gave the morning pep talk to the group and allowed me to sit there because I was going to do the training after he finished with the group. And he said, let's just be a little kinder and a little gentler out there today, guys. He said, and it wasn't even legal in Oregon yet. He said, don't bust anybody up a bag of weed today. Okay? People are going through tough times out there. Okay? Plus, I don't have the room to feed them or a place to store them.
So that's what the police said?
And I sat there and I was like, man, this is just good, everyday common sense and love for a fellow man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you're getting into another subject, the weed. But
Yeah,
the violence and the drug and
no, we will be on another topic. Okay.
I think it stems from the mental health issue. It's like, when people say I'm against guns, it's really, you should be against mental health, lack of mental health education. That's what we should be against. Crux is the mental health is really where we need to focus.
Well, we used to really take care of our mental health people.
When?
I'd say before the year of 2000.
What was good?
We had mental institutions.
Well, we were very lack of them in
I,
Las Vegas.
As I mentioned, I was in medical sales.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this as long as I live.
Okay.
I was up at the Napa State Hospital in California. And we had put a budget together the year before for her to buy some medical supplies. And when I came in, you know, she said, Greg, I'm terribly sorry. I'm only going to be able to purchase about a quarter of the list. And I'm saying, well, what happened? I had budgeted this. I told my boss this was coming through. Now I got to go somewhere and find something to make it up.
Right. You thought things were going to be going fine.
And she said, well, we're going to be downsizing. And I said, downsizing? What does that mean? She said, well, we send a letter out to the next of kin.
Hospital?
Mental health institution.
Mental health institution.
We send out a letter to the next of kin that you have 60 days to come pick XYZ up.
Oh.
And if you don't, and I said, and if you don't, we put them on a bus and we take them downtown. We open up the door and let them out.
And schizophrenia and things like that.
So these people that you see on the streets that are talking to themselves, that are scratching,
so sad.
you know,
that's super
we have
sad.
become
There's
a nation that doesn't care.
That's
the
it.
rich get
There's-
richer, the everyday man,
Yeah.
they're squeezing out us middle class people. Come on, we're better than that.
And the bipolar,
There is more than enough.
There's help for
all of us.
Bipolar, but there's really no help for certain things like schizophrenia. There's really no help for that. They have to just live with, you know, hallucinations. They have to learn to cope and live with it. But most of the time, people don't get education or help and cope with it.
So,
and their families.
I don't want to say what administration that was under because I don't want to talk politics because that's the quickest way to lose a friend. But it was very disappointing that
to hear that. It
you know,
shocked
that happened. Yeah, it did. It shook me all the way home. I mean, I just couldn't believe it.
Napa Valley.
I drive by someone.
It's a rich area.
Huh?
Napa Valley. That's a rich area.
That's where the hospital was.
And that's where the best wine in the world comes from, Napa.
Okay,
Come
so
on,
what's-
that's rich, nice.
They're not drinking wine that comes out of a cork. Come on, it's a screw off top. Come on, we can go down.
Nowadays,
Anyway.
even the good wine has screw.
All right.
Very unusual.
All right.
We're gonna go on break.
We're gonna go.
We gotta go on break and go and pay some bills, and you know, I'm gonna send you a note about what I like and what I don't like. Okay, on the break.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that note. All right.
Social media shows
is about
branding, opportunity,
and outreach
we are an entertainment company that empowers others.
by promoting and supporting our community.
and everyone who reaches our content.
here on social media shows.
Here we're a family.
We are family. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, sing. We are family.
We are family.
We are family. We are family.
We are family.
We are family, and we want you to be part of our social media shows family.
Welcome back.
So what'd you think of my note?
I didn't read the note. I'm waiting until
okay,
later.
Okay.
We're not on yet, are
so,
we?
Yeah, that's your custom to wait 2 days.
Are we on
before
yet?
You,
We are?
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I'm reading it later.
Okay.
I'm not care. But speaking of mental health, I wanted to. Apparently, I like movies about mental health, and I like learning about mental health.
I wonder why.
I have no. It's very amazing to
You
me.
got
Like
any
Harry
issues?
Potter.
No.
When Harry Potter came along, I was amazed that I was into fantasy. I didn't ever know I was into fantasy movies, and I loved Harry Potter all the way through. Ooh, yeah.
Right.
But big fan. But anyway, if I don't have a Harry Potter once or twice a year, ooh, not happy. Got to have it. It's like a fix. But the thing is with the mental health, I noticed when I did the reviews of the Critics' Choice Award earlier to this year with Juan Carlos with JC for his Fab Life. There was a show that was on HBO that won for Best TV Series, and I loved that I had seen it. It was called Sharp Objects. So we're going to see it again. In fact, I did notice it's in the lineup on HBO. It's going to be showing again. Sharp Objects is amazing. It has Amy Adams.
Okay.
And it's at first I didn't want to watch it. It looked like that looks really creepy. I don't want to watch that movie, that show. It's a series, lots of weeks. You get the new just like they do on HBO. But as I was watching, I was really impressed. I learned about 2 new mental diseases I did not know about at all.
Well, what
And
are they?
it was amazing. And then at the end of the show, by the way, after all those weeks, I love that they showed on the screen, if you know anybody with these problems, please get them help. So it was really all about education. It was really amazing. It's an interesting mystery. It's a good mystery story. If people like mysteries, oh, God, it's a cliffhanger too, and a
So
couple
what's the
parts.
premise of the story without telling us the whole thing?
Okay, I don't want to spoiler alert, but Amy Adams is a detective or a writer who works for a detective place, and she's with the police department. So she goes back with the main detective who's working on this case to help solve a murder. And her own sister was one of the people who had been murdered years before of the same type of murder. They knew it was the same murderer. And so all these murders, and her parents were very well off, and she was one of the wealthiest families from the city. So she was really there to help the detective, and it's from the South. And so she was there to show the detective who everyone was, because there was no way to find out.
Can you give us the Cliff Note version?
Okay. Well, at any rate, they're going along, learning, trying to solve the mystery.
Yes.
And boy, at the end, when you find out who done it, whoa!
Or should I say,
and then,
whoa!
And then at the very, very, very tip end, like the last second of the movie, there is another pow! Like you can't even believe that at the very end of this show too. Okay, Munchausen's was the first people who cut themselves have cutting, and the next one was Munchausen's by proxy, which is people who I was talking with a detective, a former older man who was a former detective in police department, and I said something about sharp objects I was sharing about it. He says, oh, I know what Munchausen's by proxy is. And I said, really? I said, what is it? And he says, we had a guy in our city, a fireman. He used to light fires. So it's somebody who is a rescuer. They light the fire, then they, or in this case of the show, well, I don't want to give it away.
They intentionally light the
yeah,
fire.
it's like someone who wants to be the hero, or a woman or a man, anybody who would poison their own children. Say that's Munchausen's by proxy. That's actually interesting mental disease, right? But they want to be the Florence Nightingale. They want to bring them back to health. They want to be the hero, and so that's the craziness
So they
right
would
there.
poison their own children.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
be
you
a
gotta
hero.
watch this Sharp Objects. It's an amazing show. Good stuff.
Okay, I won't pass any judgment.
I never knew about these two
Give
things. And
everything
plus,
first
people
chance. Check it out.
sometimes people will see somebody who's cut themselves, like the kids, and you think, why they do that? Ooh, it's a trend or something. There's reasons why they do that. There's actually very deep-seated emotional reasons why they do that, and
Okay.
it's interesting to learn
Well,
in this show.
I'm gonna do a little bit more research on
Yeah,
that.
Sharp
But
Objects
anyway.
on HBO.
We're here in Vegas,
Mental health.
and
Important subject.
Trade shows are a real big deal for us.
Yeah.
And I love the technology that comes to town.
Just one coming, right?
Well, last weekend we had 3 shows in town. Well, more, but we talk about some of the bigger ones. We had 35,000 out for the hardware show. These are vendors that sell to your Home Depots and your Lowe's. So, your generator, your, new mop, whatever new item they come out with, they present it at the show. And the second one was the waste management. And I didn't realize that waste is a multi-billion dollar operation. They talked about waste for landfills and, selling waste, buying waste. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. Living in California, California recycled everything. cans, bottles.
Right.
You know,
they make it
your-
easy.
Yeah,
they
your
give
orange
you the
juice container.
dispensers. They make
Right.
it easier for you. It's harder sometimes when you don't have those
so,
buckets.
So, you know, every 2 weeks I could go to my store, go to the little recycle box, put it in, you know, get $25 or save, you know, 4 big bags on the weekend and come up with $50. And that was enough to throw some gas in the car or maybe go get a good meal or something like that. But when I went to Georgia, they only recycled cans. So I'm coming up here
not
with this.
glass and not
no,
plastic?
No plastic.
Ooh, plastic's the worst.
It's like, you know, I had 4 big bags full. And I was like, I knew I had $50. And the guy said, here's $2.50 for the cans. I said, well, what about this other stuff? He said, throw it away. I come here to throw it away. It's a waste management. We only do cans, baby.
That's
you know,
yeah. Wow.
you know, if you're sitting at home and you're trying to figure out what kind of gig can I do, something that I can make money and be good to the planet, check out waste management. You know, I saw those 2 guys who come out with this bracelet. They're going out cleaning out the ocean, and if you send a donation, they send you this bracelet with the seaweed from, you know, some of the plastic strands that they pulled out of the ocean.
braided.
Those are brilliant ideas.
Yeah.
So, you know, my
Show your
kid
support,
wants
yeah.
to be an entrepreneur. Think of an entrepreneurial idea that you can make money and also help save the planet.
Right.
So I thought the waste management, that was a really, really interesting one as well.
Like Whole Foods does a lot of that with Guatemalan, I believe, or, you know, women from other countries who don't have any way to gain and, you know, and it helps their village, helps get a cow and things like that if you use their products, and, you know.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Yeah, I think being conscious of our nation and of the world is the most important thing. The big picture.
Yeah, speaking of the, being conscious of our world and our surroundings, what I've been told is that May 1st kicks off the 100-degree season in Las Vegas. We've been enjoying just exceptional weather. Some said our weather here is better than California right now. So
Greg's never lived in Las Vegas.
This is
his first summer.
Yeah.
He's gonna die.
Yeah, well, they
He's
keep saying,
gonna die,
they
but he
keep saying the
realizes
heat's
how
coming.
hot
They
it
keep
gets.
saying the heat's coming, but we'll see.
Take a blow dryer and just put it on hot and just hold it in front of your face. That's pretty much what it feels like. So just realize,
You know, as a high
ain't
school
no
kid,
joke. You better have
as
air
a high school
conditioning.
kid, we take that hair dryer and stick it out the window so when cars come by, you go,
You're bad.
was
See,
that a
talking
radar?
about-
Was that a radar gun?
You had a warped sense of humor, man.
That was just a kid having fun. You know what I'm saying?
We threw
But
we
anyway,
threw water
thank you for
balloons.
joining us. We'll be coming back to you next Wednesday. If you have ideas for us you'd like for us to discuss, send a shout out to somebody that you want us to, whether they're in the hospital or just in need of a big hug. We'll surround them in love.
Yes.
And say to all of you, until we meet again, peace and blessings.
Bye.
Live streaming on social media is the best new way to interact and bond with your community. Do you love to encourage, motivate, and empower others, but you do not know how? Well, your opportunity starts with us on social media shows. We have 20 shows a week live streamed across the globe, with a reach of over 80,000 and growing. So you can host your own show, and you can be anything